Hi everyone and welcome to the 2019 Upper North Island Secondary Schools Tournament. Shortly we'll be watching the D-grade final between Te Kura Kaupapa Hoani Waititi and Hobsonville Point Secondary School. The tournament started on Monday and all games have been played outside, so just the finals are coming indoors, so for many of these teams they may not have had the opportunity to play indoors in an arena setting.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yvonne Willering, and joining me is Lynette Brady, and it's really going to be quite interesting because, like Lynette said, all week they've been playing outside, which means they've had the elements to contend with. So obviously slippery ball at times, and it affects the shots, and it is the first time for some of these players to make it indoors, but I'm really looking forward to it because now we're actually going to see the skills in action, so no excuses from either team. And D-grade final, it's going to be interesting to see just the development work, I suppose, that's being done in all the different schools. I mean, we often talk about the elite competition, but this is now an opportunity to see our youngsters in action. Teams are just going to final preparation, and it's 4 10s they'll be played, and if there is a draw at the end of that, then we will be going into extra time, and it's a 2-minute break and then 5 minutes after that. And if it's still a draw after that, I think we go to the first team that gets the 2 points, which is very similar to all the international rulings as well. But it's really interesting now just to see the teams. Honestly, they take it so seriously. Well, I know there's a lot of talk at the moment about development work, not putting pressure on players, but these teams are out here right now to perform. And yeah, at the end of the day, it is also about winning, but I'd like to think that what they're really focused on is actually the performance out on court. Put in a great performance and the results will take care of themselves anyway. Teams are about to be announced onto the court as we speak. Whoa, that was interesting. I mean, just even the crowd on the sideline getting totally involved within this. And also it's an opportunity for our young umpires as well. I've noticed I actually have never seen the umpires before. So it's a great opportunity for them also to develop their game. You know, it isn't just about players, it's also about the coaches. And I noticed that both teams have a couple of coaches on board with them. So I reckon that's just a wonderful opportunity. So game's about to start.
It's both the umpires, the D grade and C grade finals, an opportunity for secondary school umpires to actually officiate these finals. So both these girls are still at school.
Yeah, the first few minutes will be a settling in time. This is new to the players, you know, well, one, indoors, but also look at the crowd that's surrounding the court and actually also up in the stand at the back of the pavilion. So early turnover for Hobsonville, and Hobsonville Boyne must be quite a new school in itself, because that whole region, you know, it's sort of really sprung up there. I mean, I live locally, so it's been really interesting to see that whole district develop.
Yeah, I think Hobsonville Point, I think this might be their second or third time they've entered the tournament, but there certainly are only probably 4, maybe 5 at the absolute most years into their having the school open.
One thing you'll notice that the players all have a number on their legs, and for those that are not sure about this, that is actually for selectors, because you've got an opportunity sometimes with this, obviously with substitutions, and it's almost unlimited. So so that the basically the selectors are going by numbers rather than by their names, and I think that's a good way to have it.
Yeah, certainly it's really important. We've got 120 teams here this week, so there's a number of teams and a number of players that names just get lost.
Early settling down. A couple of intercepts already been taken though, which is pleasing to see. But they must capitalise on that. I always find it interesting at this level of play. Like within New Zealand, we talk a lot about the New Zealand style, you know, both on attack and on defence. So I look at the youngsters, because these are the ones that are going to come through, obviously, under 21 level, you know, New Zealand secondary schools, under 21, and then ultimately, obviously, the Silver Ferns. So Noli Taurua, the Silver Ferns coach, has indicated she wants to adopt a set style, which means we actually need to start developing that further down. So our style on attack is often with a holding shooter. Australia, for instance, have a lot of mobility within their shooting circle, but within New Zealand we often like to have a holding shooter there so that we can put ball placement into her. Defensively, we're probably looking a little bit more, rather than doing the one-on-one defence, we would be looking more at the space marking, and at times, although I don't think they'll do it at this level, to do the zones. A zone is wonderful to see, but unless everyone is doing it, it is actually quite easy to break. So I am looking within this age group to look at more space marking, and already we've seen quite, you know, a couple of intercepts have been taken. Here we've got a situation actually space marking now, so that each player is marking an area of court and then hopefully looking for that intercept.
You'll notice as the game goes by, a lot of these players will start to get quite weary, because this is actually the 10th game in 5 days. So it's been a long week for the players.
Yeah, and we often talk about, you know, not putting them under a lot of pressure. I'd like to think that during the week, though, there would have been an opportunity to have played not just the main lineup. I think the teams that have utilised the bench as well will probably be in a better position going to this. But be fair, they haven't been hour-long games. They've been 40-minute games throughout. So, and legally, as per rulings, I don't think you're allowed to have 2 one-hour games in one day, but obviously you are able to have 2 40-minute games.
Certainly we've noticed a lot of the teams that started off quite strongly at the beginning of the week have tired as the week's gone by, and it's certainly proven the ones that have utilised, the coaches that have taken the opportunity to utilise their bench are certainly benefited at the end of the week.
Yeah. And also, I don't think a lot of emphasis probably is put on actual fitness work as well. I think most of these players will take part in lots of other sports or play for a few different netball teams, and I think that's the reliance on the fitness. And I think very few of them would have played this intensity of netball, like you said, for a whole week. So again, these are all new experiences for the players.
Certainly for a lot of the teams that are coming from smaller centres, they sort of hit a tournament like this and they really find the intensity a real challenge, but equally love the challenge.
And hopefully that will benefit for the following year, when players can then basically, tell others. Until you actually experience it for yourself, we don't know about intensity. We don't know about, what it takes to perform day in and day out. So that's something that you're just going to go through and learn from it, and experience it, and bring it to the party the following year. Again, shooting stats probably not the most accurate at the moment, which means some of these shooters, they need to actually go a little bit closer to the post, get the confidence, and then really start stepping it up from there.
For many of these players, particularly for the year 13s, this is probably the pinnacle of their netball career. For some, they'll move on to future roles, but for many of them, their high school premier competitions, and particularly something like this, is an absolute highlight for them.
I appreciate people. It's Upper North Island, which means you're getting lots of different styles, different schools as well, and so it's not just your local competition anymore. So it is an opportunity to match your skills against everyone else. Netball New Zealand has now recently introduced again the provincial championships. That's also going to be really interesting, because you've got a situation where all the different centres can match their skills against one another. Because you might be top team in one centre and think you're pretty good, but until you've matched your skills against all others around you, it becomes a different ball game. But again, shot missed. Opportunity now for Hobsonville Point to drive that ball through the court. It is a final, so it's really interesting to see that the game will stay close. I think predominantly the crowd will favour the one team, and I think that's Hoani Waititi at this stage when I hear the voices out there.
We've certainly got a large contingent of supporters on the far side over there who are very vocal. They've actually returned to the tournament this year for the first time after not attending for a couple of years. So it's great to see them performing well.
Yeah, I just think it's something for the players to aspire to. Don't forget, it's not just the Upper North Island. We also have South Island, and there's one also competition in Wellington.
Yeah, so
right?
Wellington was the Lower North Islands, and in Nelson was the South Islands. And from that, in the A grade, we will have the top 6 teams from the Upper North Islands and the top 5 from the other 2 tournaments who will attend secondary school finals in October.
And I guess after that, New Zealand under-21 squad would... Oh, no, actually got New Zealand secondary schools still in action as well, haven't we?
Yeah, they utilise these tournaments. And New Zealand emerging talent selectors have been here all week, just looking around to see who's up and coming, because obviously with World Youth Champs 2 or 3 years out, they're looking at that squad and putting it together. But yes, New Zealand secondary school trialists and development camp trialists, will be selected from here for December.
But obviously not everyone's going to make it up into that selection. But what I think is great about this, it's an opportunity for these girls to be together for the whole week. So you've got that team unity. They're all staying together. I mean, there's just a mass of vans outside when I actually came into the venue. And it's just, you can feel the team spirit. And I just think it's just wonderful opportunity for these girls, even just to compete. It isn't always just about further selection. This is also about providing unity and being able to play it as a team. and expose your school as well. I think there's a lot of pride in school, and I love that. I think that's a great thing.
We actually had 6 members of the various New Zealand netball, New Zealand squads in the other night with the 3 trophies. And all 6 players that attended had actually attended this tournament, some of them as recently as 2 years ago. And so they all conveyed their fond memories of this tournament and how much they enjoyed it.
Right, Hobsonville Point, opportunity for them now just to go have a 3-goal lead. Appreciate that that's 4 10s and time's almost up. In fact, time is up. Didn't get the opportunity, so at the moment it is 9-7 with Hobsonville Point leading. And probably, I think they've utilised the possession a little bit better. I mean, if you have a look at it, I think there's a lot of, and I call them unforced errors. Unforced errors is when a pass goes astray or, it's just too high a ball or whatever. And there have been a number of opportunities by both teams. They've got intercepts, but they haven't really capitalised on it. Now, obviously, visually, we don't have the scores as such, but I'd say that both teams will want to establish better shooting stats. I don't think either team would be that happy with the shooting stats as they are at the moment.
I think some of that will too come in from the difference of playing outside all week and just trying to settle on the inside.
Yeah, but outside you've got an excuse because you've got the wind, you've got the weather. Yeah, and it's always a challenge. I mean, I don't do outdoors anymore, but and obviously there's a time when I played outdoors and indoors, and it is a different ball game. And also like at the top level, that physicality that comes into it. And sometimes I say to the players, yeah, but would you be that physical if you're out there on the asphalt courts? Is it because we now have the lovely wooden sprung floors that you are far more competitive? But I would not like to see netball to become an indoor sport where it's only held indoors because, I think it's just wonderful on a Saturday in particular just to see the masses of participation outside. In the background here at the moment, we've got the chants going. It's just wonderful to hear.
Looks like Hoani have brought most of their students over from Hoani Waititi, which is great to see.
Isn't it though? I mean, that's about, the school. It isn't just about their one netball team. It's also about what the school represents, and I think that's just great, and we need to have far more of that. But second quarter about to get underway, 9-7 to Hobsonville Point at this stage. But again, could go any way at the moment. It's just basically who will capitalise most. What I have enjoyed to date, though, is that the players have reacted to the umpiring calls, and I think we need to look after our umpires far better.
It's certainly something I've noticed from both of these teams during the week. They've been really respectful of the umpires and the umpires' calls. May not have agreed with them, but they've certainly just got on with it.
That was Brown that just took a wonderful shot, got acknowledged for it, so that'll certainly help her confidence.
These two teams are actually quite local to each other. So Hoani Waititi Marae is down in Glen Eden, and Hobsonville Point just in Hobsonville, both West Auckland, but they both play in 2 different competitions, so they won't be familiar with each other's play at all.
Well, my former coach actually, Dame June Mariu, has got a great contact, obviously, with Hoani Waititi. So it's really pleasing to see them in this final. Yeah, even confidence there. That was Waititi there, and great shot. It was Lynch as the goal attack for Hobsonville Point. And it's interesting to see that they're sharing the load. Normally you would see a goal shooter taking the majority of the shots because she normally is the stable factor in the back there with the goal attack doing far more court play. But actually both teams have utilised both shooters. Yeah, there's been some changes made from the first quarter to the second quarter, which I found interesting because the scores actually were still quite close. But Hoani Waititi have made some changes. Changes more in actual playing position. Centre's gone to wing attack, and the goal defence has gone to wing defence, and the wing defence has gone to goal defence. So it's really mainly positional changes. And yeah, I guess that they're just looking to see whether this will help them. At the moment, though, score still favours Hobsonville Point. It was Lynch for Hobsonville Point. Again, I think the shooting accuracy from both Brown and Lynch as the Hobsonville Point shooters, I think it's really gone up in accuracy. At the moment, they're just playing steady netball, really, and they're just making sure that they capitalise on the position that they get. And again, you've got a situation now where Hoani Waititi is doing exactly the same, just getting the ball closer to the circle. Yep, right then it was just contact called. Got to stay 3 feet from the player, 0.9 if you want to say it that way, but yeah, the players just need to readjust to the umpires. But again, situation, accuracy still faulting, and now again Hobsonville Point will want to utilise it, but what happened? Threw it away in the mid-court. Opportunity to pull one back. That's actually quite a big lead for Hobsonville Point, 14-7, because don't forget we're playing 4 10s, and it does make a huge difference. Long shot and a great shot. Yeah, she'll get confidence from that. That was Toko Walker. That was called holding space and passing the ball into the space. I thought that was very, very well executed. She held goal attack. Lynch held the space, and it was a really nice pass given to her.
The draw to the top of the circle then by the goal attack.
Interesting, both shooters outside the circle at the moment. Really need one to be back in there, and that's probably more our style of play, where we have one shooter in the circle. We generally, like Australia is totally different. In New Zealand, we tend to utilise our centres wing attacks to hit that circle edge and then play the ball into one of our shooters. So if both shooters are out, that really causes crowding, and that's something that they need to adjust. Australia, on the other hand, shooters come out, and they're the ones that set the play and determine how the ball will be given to them. But they do have a lot more movement to their game. We generally tend to have some real big timber, particularly as goal shooters, and you're certainly going to see that in the A grade final, I reckon. So, and that's why space mark, well, when I say space marking, it is actually the holding of a space inside the circle that really suits our style. Back in action. Yeah.
Saw the ball on flight.
Yeah, it was nicely done. Just got too close to the player, and we tend to do that. We tend to, when we go for an intercept, go towards the player who's receiving the pass. And sometimes I say to the player, just come through the middle, because a ball in flight is an easy intercept. So just need to really encourage our players not to go so close to the receiving player. But anyway, in the meantime, Hobsonville Point with possession. Again, they will work this ball around to try and get it reasonably close, to the goal. That's a good shooting position, and has no trouble with it. Actually, I think her confidence has really grown, particularly in the second quarter.
Yeah, she's certainly taken on a lot more responsibility in that circle too.
Good defence work, saw the pass coming. Now, really, they want to capitalise on this. They're 17-9 down, so, this is actually the time to start pegging this back. Obstruction called, again within 0.9 of a metre. We like to do the hands up. That was really, I know you could say it was an intercept, but really that was just a bad pass. Again, offside call.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, I was surprised that she didn't actually shoot that. I mean, they were shooting well. And don't forget, the more the ball's in the air, the more defensive opportunities. But now, again, situation that, they've got to make the most of this. And again, reluctant to pass the ball. And I know it was a contact, and that actually was a nice intercept cross court. It was interesting, though, just the rulings prior to that, waiting, like the umpires made the call and were very wanting to be on the exact spot. What players, and I guess that's just inexperience, but they could have just taken the ball and passed it because their players were free in the circle at that time. But again, another opportunity to score.
Yeah, I think that defensive combination of Hobsonville points is starting to get a bit of dominance down that end, and that's causing that hesitation, feeding it into the circle.
Yeah, easy pass, and defensive unit actually just a little bit too quick, so went off the mark. And really, whilst you're looking for an intercept, it's really about taking the ball in flight. So you basically stay on or near your player until that ball's in flight. Now scores 17-11. Still, I know it's 6 goals different, probably 7 now. No, missed shot. Another opportunity. But again, an unforced error. This ball was out. There's no excuses for that. I don't care, even at this level. That is a basic unforced error. Well, they're certainly getting their opportunities. And again, offside call. Now, and she was totally free. It wasn't like she was pushed into the circle at all. And those are errors that, we need to eliminate. And I know it's schoolgirls, but it's still, those are just basic errors. The coaches will not be happy with that.
No. Well, they're just those basic rules, basic errors. So they should be, hopefully, the least, well, they're the easiest ones to eliminate.
Initially, I thought she was going to shoot that long shot, and I thought, probably not the and I'm not saying she can't shoot long, but probably right now not the time to do that, because they're in a situation now, pegging back, their centre pass off as well, so another opportunity, but also very aware that there was only 2 seconds to go. So whilst you may say, why didn't you look after the ball, they had to try to get that ball in there. And sometimes it's actually quite good just to bomb the ball into there and actually hope that the defence contacts, so it's going to become a penalty shot. This wasn't to be. So half-time right now, 17-12 to Hobsonville point. So interesting. A half-time is how long? 2 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes half-time. So, this will be an interesting time. Now, this is a time when coaches, and it's interesting, and I guess, and you've seen it if you look at higher levels about player-centered coaching, and, whether does the coach now ask the players, check with the players what to do, or does she give them strict guidelines? Personally, I think at this age, there's still a lot of knowledge to be gained. I think it's 1 or 2 points that the players should focus on. I'm still saying totally positive, absolutely, but it's saying, give them 1 or 2 factors to take back onto the court. Say too much and you're just going to lose them after about a second anyway. As you can see, players are talking to each other. I like that. I like that communication. And normally, and I'm not sure if they are, but they normally sit within their areas of court, because then they can discuss things. Sometimes, when you're out on court, you see it slightly different than you do on the bench. So it's really nice that the players, I'd always encourage the chat between each other. You've got to appreciate what the players will take out on court, and what they will do is what they are confident with. So you've got to give them the confidence to actually take, to do what's being required. And obviously what they've practiced throughout the season.
They've got to be really familiar with what you're asking them to do. If it's something completely new, they're going to struggle with it.
What I like with the coaches, it's also visual, and don't forget we all have different learning styles, and a lot of these players will be what I call a kinesthetic, which means they just do it, so whilst you give it to them, one, they got to see it, but they just get out and do it. So the first time they do what you actually want, you got to get excited about going, yeah, that's it, and it's just wonderful to see their progress out on court. And I think as a coach, your greatest thrill, and I think most coaches feel the same way, is when a player's out on court and achieves a set task that you've actually practiced, like a roll or a good hold or a great intercept, and you acknowledge that, and it's just a great feeling.
It's certainly, you quite often sort of see it, something will happen on court, and if you're just a spectator, you're not quite sure what's got on when everyone erupts something, but if it is definitely something they've been practicing that has worked, it's like, oh, there's that sort of eureka moment where everyone agrees.
What I love in these breaks, and you've got both teams now huddling saying we can do it, but unfortunately both teams are saying it. But it's just a great time, and it's a great feeling. Some substitutions probably have been made for Hoani Waititi now. Hall has come onto the court in the wing defence position. Not quite sure who's gone off. I'm sure with time we can gauge that, but certainly. Hall has come on in the wing defence position. I guess they needed to either make changes in what they were doing out on court or bring in fresh legs, because as you indicated, it's been a long week for these people. They have to gain 5 goals. They really need to do it within this 10-minute period. You really don't want to leave it to the last quarter, because then it becomes a situation you have to go looking for intercepts, which means you leave opportunities for the opposition as well. So this is going to be people say this is the championship quarter, but it will be interesting to see how settled, I guess in particular, Hoani Waititi becomes. It'll be interesting to see Hobsonville Point, where they don't get score focused and just keep playing the game.
I think also between a 10 and a 15-minute game, a 10-minute quarter just seems to go by so quickly. You get very little time to settle.
Yeah. But I'm still pleased that it's that and not 220s. There was the good old days where it was 220s, that's not the way the game's going. You're still better to have it this way. Only thing is that later on, obviously, when it becomes 15 minutes, that last 5 minutes of each quarter is really critical. So players need to start developing that as well.
And certainly, talking to younger players when they step up from the 10-minute to the 15-minute quarters, they do really struggle with the hour-long game, particularly that last quarter becomes a real grind.
Yeah, Hobsonville Point just carrying on where they left off. Yeah, at the moment, really, Hoani Waititi is being caught between space marking and one-on-one. They're actually not doing one or the other, so they're looking for an intercept, but they're actually not going for it. And that really basic area. But have a look at it, how quick, the blue team, Hobsonville Point, is back on defence, and they get rewarded. Yep, that was personally probably a bit tough call. It looked like it was 3 feet, but you got to appreciate the umpire does see it from a different angle than certainly we're sighting it at the moment. But what's great is the players just get on with it. When people question the umpire, she's not going to change her mind. The call has been made. That's the end of the story.
I think sometimes too, if you sort of challenge the umpire a wee bit on court, is that, if there's a 50-50 call a bit further down the game, sometimes it may not quite go your way.
Yeah. Okay, another team change has been made. Grace Tahuri has come on. I thought she was on. Yes, she was. She was on at centre before, so that's an interesting one.
Yeah, she started the game at centre.
I'm sure she started centre, so now she's playing. Yeah, interesting. These players, I guess, they're still at a stage in their career, or, netball-wise, where they're not quite sure where they're going to end up. And have a look at it. Your tall player is normally a goalkeeper or a goal shooter. I mean, if they can't shoot, if they're inaccurate, you get shoved down the other end of the court. But these players, you're not the tallest, so it's a situation whereby, versatility, I suppose, comes into it, and that's fine. Absolutely.
Sometimes too within secondary schools teams you sort of just have to play where you're best suited within the team rather than sometimes what's necessarily your best position.
Right. Yeah, they've obviously looked at the fact the accuracy hasn't been right there, so that's why the change has been made. That was a nice triangle play. A triangle play is where it comes from inside the circle, goes outside the circle, and then has a different angle inside the circle again. It's a way of getting rid of the defensive player, and it was very well done then. Yeah. Very hesitant on attack. If you have ball speed, certainly, you have far more success. But then, Hobsonville Point in a position, got the ball because it was such a slow pass into the circle. But in fairness to Hoani Waititi, they have come back and taken the ball again. But they need to capitalise on this. They need to get that to their shooters reasonably, well, not too close to the goal, because I'm sure that and normally they're confident shooters, but I think they're starting to lose their confidence. Again, situation, could have gone for the shot, but chose to pass the ball.
Yeah, I think it's just that confidence thing, Yvonne, that you've been talking about.
Whereas at the other end of the court, prepared to take reasonably long shots. Again, because, they've now got that confidence in order to do so. And I tell you, if your goals go in, it lifts the rest of your team. And here, another example, a ball loose, and who capitalised on the most, and obviously it's the blue team. Not a bad pass into space, was never going to shoot that one, though. This is Brown. Probably the tallest shooter out on court.
You will certainly, as we go up in the grades during the afternoon, you'll certainly notice an increase in heights as well.
Oh, I came the other day and boy, some of the people, they're so not just tall, but just, whoa, I looked at them going, these players still secondary school. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to, as we go up in the grades, probably so with the not just the standard of play, but also the height and width of the players will be different. (24-14), so pretty good lead to Hobsonville Point at this stage, remembering it's only 10-minute quarters. Ooh. Oh, that's
a bit rough.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, the correct call, it was stepping call for those that don't know. I mean, she basically fell over on an ankle, but you can't have sympathy in those situations. She did. She dragged a foot, so that's the end of it, really. I'm just really pleased she didn't injure herself. Great shot from Lynch. Notice some of the supporters have got really quiet. This is actually the time when they actually should be really vocal. I mean, they're trying really hard. And again, look at the desperation there, calling out to our players to come to the ball. I think what's happening is that everyone is drifting away. If you're going to do that, then you have to start looking for the longer passes, but they really want to keep it short so that Hobsonville Point can't take any intercepts, but it's costing them because no one's available. There you had a situation where the goal shooter very cleverly let the ball go, knowing where the defender was, let it come as close to the post as possible. but you also can get a situation where you're too close to the post. And I've seen that in times, and the shooter's so close that ball basically goes straight up and straight down again. Yeah, good screen for the shooter. Yeah, I mean, she's not happy, but she doesn't mean to miss, and everyone often has a go, get it in. But then you can also look at it defensively, we'll get more ball, And the thing is with a shooter, it's so visible, exactly. It's a stat that, determines their worth, basically, whereas you don't have that with the rest of the team. Yeah, good interplay. Knew the call was coming, so didn't bother to go in for a rebound.
I think the two young umpires have done a good, controlled the game well today.
Yeah, I think they've let it go pretty well. There's not that many stoppages. In fairness, I think the players are playing in good spirit as well. You're not seeing a lot of, whilst it's certainly contesting, it's not like they're, well, I won't say doing each other in, but it's not that what I call physical, which I think is good to see. It's about the skills of the game. 27 seconds to go.
Still plenty of time for a shot.
So you're having to pass back, which indicates it's good defence by Hobsonville Point, but also they're just reluctant to feed their players. And I think some of them are free. They just need to have more ball speed. Yeah, good height. Good height on the shot.
Right on the timer.
Yeah, but also looked always like it was going to go in. So good finish. So it's a 2-minute break now?
2-minute break now, yep.
So again, just a situation, just to regroup it. Easy for Hobsonville Point right now. All they have to keep saying now is just keep playing like we're playing. This is not about like looking after a score. I've been in that position. It's just the wrong way to go. Protecting a score is not the way to do it. And sometimes you also say, like, just look after our own centre pass off. Appreciate that it's alternate centre pass off. So, and then you can say, well, at least even if we just draw the last quarter, again, shouldn't be about that. What they need to keep doing is just keep performing like they've been, just keep playing like they've played for 3 quarters. On the other hand, this team here, totally different ball game. This is about a final right now for them. They know that they have not played to their full potential. There's no way they have, otherwise they wouldn't have been in this final, right? So, they're now looking at it. Love it. Look at this. Look at their supporters. They're still right there with them, and they need to be. This is the time they need to be there. So even if they don't think they're going to win, they will want to finish this last quarter with a really good performance. And I think that's, for the players, having a really great performance in this last quarter, it's just wonderful for them. For the coaches, they'll probably then pull their hair out and say, why didn't you do that for the whole game? It's such a fine line, unfortunately.
Yes, the coach of Hobsonville Point, Ashley Fennessy, is certainly just encouraging her girls and continuing to do what they're doing, exactly what you've been saying.
Yeah, this is when team unity comes into play, because it's easy to be a team when you're winning and everything's going well. But it's the other team now. I'm looking now to see just how they come back in this last quarter. And I'd like to think they will not give up, and they will really give their best performance right now. And it's already started. Got a loose ball. Now they need to capitalise on this. Dodgy pass over a defender. Again, look at the situation. No one is actually available to the ball. They're all long diagonal passes. Yeah. Oh, lucky it hasn't cost them. They need someone that's sort of square up to them, to the ball. Keep the passing short but fast. And again, some changes have been made. Obviously not to Hobsonville Point. Why would you? And I guess it's not an opportunity just to give everyone a go on court. The players for Hobson Point, they put themselves in this leading position, so why not let them finish the game off? But, you've got your Hoani Waititi right now looking at it saying, well, maybe we need to make some more changes. And I guess, like you said earlier, I think some of the players must be a bit tired, and that's why they're now looking for fresh legs out on court. And I think, again, you've got a situation where they've just made some, like Toku Walker, who was goal attack, has now gone into centre. So you've got a situation where the starting lineup has just changed their positions on court a little bit.
I think also Hoani Waititi, they've played all week with just 10 players. They were 2 players down, so I think they're probably quite tired.
Yeah, again, it's just there. Yeah, that's frustrating for them because that's their own basic areas right now. Now you have a look at it. That's now called a space marking again, almost a zone, in fact, whereby they're all taking up an area court. But the back people should have come through for an intercept. If you create a long pass, then there should be an intercept at the end of it. Okay, in that situation, I didn't have a problem actually with the pass. It just wasn't quite directed well. Again, opportunity to capitalise on this. Yeah, it's better playing it short and being available to the ball. And also their centre pass off, so an opportunity to get 2 in a row.
I think what's important for them is to finish on a high.
Yeah. See how long it took when the penalty was set and the shooter took a long time then to decide. That was an opportunity. The moment that you're on the spot, just let the ball go, because defensively the players aren't ready for it, and that's something, again, experience will give them in the end. Good hold by the goal shooter at the moment, but again, wasn't utilised.
I think those defence are just putting real doubts on the defenders' minds.
Always going to be a tricky shot. Had the shot there, but then stepped in, which meant the defender could stay within the correct distance. So that was always going to be a difficult shot. Only 7 goals in it. Have a look at the crisp passing. That another triangle play where it went from the one player to the side and then back in. Again, as I said before, quite difficult to defend. Easy shot as well.
Yeah. Also, I think too, when the ball's released quickly, the defenders just don't quite get the opportunity to set up.
Contact. Too close. Too late. But again, see, that's a very, very short pass. With a short pass, the ruling is that there must be enough space for a defender to come between. In the past, we used to think that it was actually a distance thing. It's not. It's just now got to be that a defender has to be able to come. There should be enough gap for a defender to be able to come through. I thought that was a little bit close, but as it turned out, there was a contact call anyway. Yeah, nice dodge on the baseline. Easy shot. And again, they're really sharing the load. And actually, both those shooters have been there the whole duration, haven't they? Lynch and Brown for Hobsonville Point.
In fact, no substitutions.
I was just going to say, no, I didn't think they had any substitutions. Yeah, and that's often the case. The team that's behind and makes the substitutions. And as a coach, sometimes you say, should you make the substitutions or should you make corrections? And I think it's now obviously the substitution, but I think in part what they're looking at is they've got tired players. And yeah, if they've only played with 10 for the duration, that's a lot of games. And if you're not used to it, and it's also being together for that whole period of time. So it's netball from start to finish of the day, 29-22. Yeah, again, just a wayward pass. If you're standing still waiting for a ball, it actually makes for an easy intercept. Look at that other end of the court, that pass into space. What a confident pass. Stepping call called. Stepping call with your landed foot, your first landed foot. You can lift it, but you cannot put it down again. Yeah, went offside. Be interesting call which way this one goes.
I think she might have been picked up for playing the ball from the ground.
Oh, gotcha. Was never going to shoot it because she took the big step in, and it always looked like she was going to do the pass anyway. Defensively, you've got to be aware of that. 10 goals different at the moment. Just over 2 minutes to go. So, yeah, this is, again, just about pride now.
And for some of these girls, particularly if they're in year 13, this will be their last game for their school or in the secondary school space. So the only space left for them now will be club netball.
The winner of this, do they then go up next year to the C grade?
Yeah, the top 5 teams from D grade are promoted to C grade, and the bottom 5 from C are relegated down to D. So there's still a lot to play for all 5 teams.
So the teams that go down from the C grade, they don't get an opportunity prior to this tournament next year to come back up? Because don't forget, there's going to be player changes. That's just irrelevant. That's just the seeding the way it is.
Correct, yeah. It's based from year to year.
Right. So again, like you say, something else to play for, isn't it?
And with 32 teams in a grade, it's certainly tough. The draw's pretty brutal. You sort of basically you win, you go up, you lose, you start coming down. There are a couple of opportunities for second lives, and you've got to take those when they're there. But once you get to this end of the draw, there's no second lives.
So how many schools are here participating?
117 different schools from as far away as Gisborne and Campion. Gisborne Girls High School and Campion from down the east coast. And the furthest most school, I think, is Kaupapa.
Oh. That needs a lot of organisation. 35 seconds to go, 33-23 to Hobsonville Point. And to be fair, I think they are deserved winners. I think they probably played the most stable game apart from the first quarter. I didn't think they had too many unforced errors. So, yeah, I think that they certainly deserved the victory just on this particular game. Countdown by the crowd. And they're pretty happy about it.
Sure are.
That was a convincing one. Don't forget, 40-minute game. And, I think on the whole, have a look at it. I think they played the more stable game. And I think that certainly they stuck to their game plans. On attack, they certainly played the ball with speed. Defensively, they got a number of turnovers. And I think their shooters certainly, after the first quarter, I think their shooting stats certainly improved all the way through. And it got to a stage really with Hoani Waititi really was in a situation trying to play catch-up netball. You've got to take your chances, and that can often cost you, and it cost them today. They won't be happy with that performance because some of those errors were their own areas that they created. So, but still, what a wonderful opportunity for them to be in this final.
Sure is.
Okay, so really interesting. One final completed. I think now we go through to the C grade final. So it's going to be really interesting for people just to see the school level. And don't forget, some of these teams could easily play in a higher grade, but this is like you just said, from year to year, you got to work your way up. So it's going to be really interesting to go to the C grade, B grade, and the A grade final, just to see whether the game changes or just where the skill level's at as well, and just to see where everyone sits. And I just hope that all the schools stay and look at all the teams. So it'll be interesting viewing.
Yeah, well, that's it for the D grade. Like we said, we're moving